Hello everyone. Today we are going to discuss about the general features and attachments of sacrum bone. The sacrum is a large, triangular and flattened bone which is formed by fusion of 5 sacral vertebrae. Being triangular, the sacrum has a base also known as upper surface of the sacrum. It has a lower end which is apex of the sacrum. It has 4 surfaces. The smooth and concave surface is known as pelvic surface. The convex and irregular surface is known as dorsal surface. It has 2 lateral surfaces, this one and this one on each side. Now the anatomical position of sacrum. First, this is the vertebral foramen that we are going to discuss it later, and this is the first sacral vertebra. Now in anatomical position, the vertebral foramen directed mostly upwards and the body of first sacral vertebra should make an angle of 30° with the horizontal plane in such a way that the pelvic surface faces forwards and downwards. Now I am going to discuss about general features of sacrum. First, the base of the sacrum. The base is directed upwards and forwards. It is formed by upper surface of first sacral vertebra which presents features of a typical vertebra in a modified form. This sacral vertebra has the body of lumbar type and it articulates with the L5 vertebra and forms lumbosacral joint. Let me show you. This one is our lumbar 5 vertebra. This lumbar 5th vertebra has 4 facets, 2 superior articulating facets and 2 inferior articulating facets. The body of lumbar vertebra articulate with the body of first sacral vertebra, and these two together articulates and forms lumbosacral joint. Now the anterior margin of the first sacral vertebra which is projecting forwards, and this part is known as sacral promontory. Then just behind the body of first sacral vertebra, this structure is known as vertebral foramen, and this vertebral foramen leads into sacral canal which is triangular in shape. Then the pedicles. These pedicles are short and they directed backwards and laterally. Then these pedicles are connected with superior articular facets. These superior articular facets are joined with a oblique lamina and continuous with a spinous tubercle, and this is our first spinous tubercle. Then the transverse processes. These transverse processes are highly modified and corresponds with the costal elements and form the lateral mass of the sacrum. The base of the lateral mass forms a broad sloping surface spreading fan-wise and form the side of the body. It is known as the ala of the sacrum, and this ala of the sacrum is divided into medial smooth part and lateral rough part. Now the apex. The apex is formed by fifth sacral vertebra which articulate with the coccyx. Now the pelvic surface. The pelvic surface is concave and it is directed downwards and forwards. This pelvic surface has this median area, and the median area is marked by transverse ridges. These are the four transverse ridges which indicates the lines of fusion of five sacral vertebra. These ridges end on either side at four pelvic sacral foramina, and these sacral foramina communicate with sacral canal through intervertebral foramen. Then below the fourth tubercle there is an inverted U-shaped gap in the posterior wall of sacral canal, and this gap is known as sacral hiatus. Now the dorsal surface. Now dorsal surface is convex and it is an irregular surface. In the median plane, it is marked by median sacral crest, which is formed by 3 to 4 spinous tubercles, and these tubercles are the results of fusion of sacral vertebra. Now lateral to median crest, this posterior surface is formed by fusion of laminas. Lateral to the lamina and in line with the superior articular process of first sacral vertebra, there are four articular tubercles representing fusion of articular tubercles of adjacent vertebrae. Inferior articular process of fifth sacral vertebra is free and form sacral cornua. And lateral to these articular tubercles, there are four dorsal sacral foramina, and lateral to these foramina, there is a crest known as lateral sacral crest. This crest shows fusion of the transverse processes. Now, lateral surface of sacrum. Lateral surface of sacrum is wide above and narrow below. The wide upper part bears a L-shaped articular surface anteriorly and a rough deeply pitted area posteriorly. This articular surface articulate with the auricular surface of the hip bone, and these two together form the sacroiliac joint. Let me show you. Now this is the hip bone. Hip bone has this fan shaped part known as ilium, and this ilium has this auricular surface which lies posteriorly. This auricular surface articulates with the auricular surface of the lateral surface of sacrum like this, and these two together form sacroiliac joint. This is our bony pelvis, and this shows a clear idea of how these two bones are joined and form this sacroiliac joint. Now the sacral canal. The sacral canal is formed by the sacral vertebral foramina, and it is triangular on cross section. The upper end of the canal appears oblique, but but actually it is directed upwards in the anatomical position. Inferiorly, the canal opens at the sacral hiatus, and laterally it communicates through the intervertebral foramina. The sacral canal contains the spinal meninges, the filum terminale, and the subdural and subarachnoid spaces, and at the level of the second sacral vertebra. Now the attachments on sacrum bone. First, on the base. The anterior and posterior edges of the body of first sacral vertebra gives attachment to the lowest fibers of anterior longitudinal ligament anteriorly, while posterior longitudinal ligament posteriorly, while on the lamina it provides attachment to the lowest fibers of ligamentum flava. Now, the rough part of the ala gives origin to the iliacus anteriorly and attachment to the lumbosacral ligament posteriorly. Now, on the pelvic surface. The part of the pelvic surface lateral to the bodies of these three sacral vertebrae, this one, gives origin to piriformis muscle. The area extends into the interval between the pelvic sacral foramina and is inverted E-shaped. Now, attachment on the dorsal surface. The dorsal surface gives origin to the erector spinae along a U-shaped line passing over the spinous tubercle and the transverse processes, and the area in the concavity of the U gives origin to the multifidus muscle. Then the interosseous sacroiliac ligament and dorsal sacroiliac ligament is attached to the rough pitted area on the lateral surface behind the auricular surface. Now the lower narrow part of the lateral surface. Below the auricular surface, this part gives origin to gluteus maximus muscle and also gives attachment to the sacrotuberous and sacrospinous ligament, and the origin of the coccygeus muscle is in the order from behind forwards. Now, relations of the sacrum. The smooth part of the ala is related to these many structures. Most laterally, there is sympathetic chain, then lumbosacral trunk, then iliolumbar artery, and most medially there lies obturator nerve, and the mnemonic of these structures is oils. All these structures are mainly overlapped by one major muscle known as psoas major, and these structures together form triangle of Marseille. On the pelvic surface, the relations are: the median sacral vessel it lies in the median plane, the sympathetic trunk along the medial margin, then the structures transmitted through these sacral foramina, and those structures are ventral rami of upper four sacral nerves, and dorsal foramina transmits dorsal sacral nerves. Now the structures emerging from the sacral hiatus are fifth sacral nerve and the coccygeal nerves.